you talk about how the single largest correlate of what leaders took to a country to war in the last few centuries is that they have military training but no battle experience. Do you think, and I understand we don't have particularly good data on this, but do you think there could be a similar correlation with development practitioners who have a lot of academic training but no field experience in terms of their ability to produce something that is useful, and how would you think about this factor in perhaps getting people involved in the development sphere?
Yeah, well, I guess I think about it. It's an interesting question. What comes to mind is, the problem with so many leaders is they don't have any skin in the game, right? They're unchecked. They don't bear the costs of conflict, and so I think there aren't, this of course comes from someone else's study, but this correlation of leaders who are militarily trained but never had actual battle experience is perhaps indicative of someone who's quick to think of military solutions, but then doesn't really understand the cost, because maybe we benefit from personal experience. So, I mean, how would I extend this to people who do international development? I mean, I do think the fact that so few people who do development, and it's not so much about academic versus non-academic practitioners. I actually think this is a problem that afflicts everyone, including sometimes especially those who are actually practitioners, is we often don't have skin in the game, right? So we are not really accountable for our decisions, at least to the people who, and that's not just true of some international do-gooder, right? That's true of any elite group in any society, any mayor, any planner, any policymaker. The extent to which you are not checked by your society means that you don't have skin in the game. You don't maybe really internalize what the consequences of your actions are, and therefore you're more likely to make mistakes, and you're then less likely to correct those mistakes over time. And I actually ended up, I teach classes on conflict. I also teach a class occasionally on the social science of policymaking. Basically, I call it How to Save the World, but it's basically all this. It's different. It's all of these different political scientists, economists, anthropologists, sociologists who've brought all these different perspectives over the last few decades on like why policy succeeded or failed. And sometimes they read one another, but mostly they're in their silos. And it's amazing how many of them come to the same conclusion, that the fundamental driver of bad policy, be it development policy or otherwise, is over-centralized powers and leaders who don't actually have any mechanisms of feedback, don't have any downward or lateral accountability, and are thus able to make bad decisions with a great deal of impunity.